want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Has been a busy 24 hours for Ice Cube since Republicans supporting Trump sent this tweet out yesterday. This went out from Deontay Johnson. So Ice Cube has officially given the Trump campaign permission to reveal that he has been helping us develop President Trump's groundbreaking Black Trump platform, the Platinum Plan. Katrina Pearson, he was also had this here. Shout out to Ice Cube for his willingness to step up and work with Donald Trump administration to help develop the Platinum Plan. That has caused a lot of people to be very critical of Ice Cube. Many call him a turncoat and all kind of other names. And so as opposed to sitting here having people just talk about it, we said we'll talk to him. He joins us now. Glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Ice Cube. So let's start this way. When they say you worked with them to develop the Platinum Plan, what does that actually mean? What did you do? Who did you talk to?
Well, what they did, they had a plan. Their plan is the Platinum Plan. My plan is the Contract with Black America. So they had their Platinum Plan, and they saw things in the Contract with Black America that were directed, directly to Black Americans and not just to all minorities. And they asked to speak with us. I always told everybody, as soon as we finish the Contract with Black America, or not finish because it's still a growing document, I told everybody that I was going to meet with both sides, and I don't know why they didn't believe me. This is not a partisan issue. It's actually a bipartisan issue. And we have to talk to people who have the power to make things happen. Now, they asked to speak to me so I can explain some of my concepts of the contract with Black America.
Who is they? Was it Donald Trump? Was it his campaign team? Was it officials in the White House? Who's they?
I've never met Donald Trump a day in my life.
Got it.
And I've never been to the White House. Okay. So it was people on his campaign. This chick who put out the tweet, it wasn't her. I never met her either. I don't even know who she is.
Katrina Pearson. You don't know who that is? Never met her?
No, I've never met her.
Okay.
But the thing is this, they looked at the Contract with Black America and they saw that their plan was lacking, and they wanted to implement some of the things from the Contract with Black America into their plan. And I said, you're welcome to do it. And I would say the same thing to the Biden campaign. They're welcome to do it. Some great ideas. I haven't, seen too many people disputing the Contract with Black America. Everybody understand that it's needed and it's necessary. So I don't mind anybody in the public sector or in the private sector using parts of it, asking me about it, asking for me to understand, what am I talking about when it comes to trying to not count us as minorities, but to count us as, pretty much a protected race. And so I think we're being buried under a lot of words like minority and people of color and things like that. Now, their plan is still their plan. It's not my plan. Their plan, like all of them, don't go far enough. All of them can be better, but these are just the facts of what happened. This is the Biden campaign basically said, we love 85% of your plan, but we want to talk after the election. That's fine. I'm willing to talk after the election. I just think both sides of the aisle need to take this serious.
So what's in their plan that they actually took from yours? Because I've gone through their plan line by line, And be perfectly honest with you, I don't see what's in the plan they released it even mirrors what's in yours.
Well, like I said, both plans between both parties are lacking. So, this is what they did. You have to look at the contract with Black America and see where the overlap is. But, the thing that what I try to make them understand is, they have programs, and both parties have programs that are built for minorities and people of color and diversity and urban and these words that don't include us, because they include us, but we only get a small portion most of the time of these programs. So we have to train all politicians that we are Black people, Black Americans, most of and I'm specifically talking about the descendants of slavery, and we have to be dealt with, our concerns have to be rectified as that, and not as a blanket thing with all other minorities. That puts us under 100% of the population here, and I don't know if we can ever get up out of that.
But with your contract, it lists these 13 different points here. And again, in their plan, what do you see in the platinum plan they released that mentions that mirrors anything that's in yours?
You got, if I'm looking at it, agreeing to direct VC money to Black investment companies up to $40 billion.
See, a lot of people have been talking about this $500 billion. That's not going to Black people. In fact, that's just actually the infrastructure funding program. That's not actually $500 billion going to Black people. And then when they say,
well, how many billion is the other one given to Black people?
No. That's not. No, I'm saying is that's not even. They list this thing under Black economic empowerment and access to capital. It says seek infrastructure funding that will lead to widespread growth in the annual $500 billion federal contracting opportunities. Even that line right there is not for Black people. That's federal contracting opportunities for everybody. So that's not. So they're trying to make it sound like, oh, $500 billion to Black people. It's not. That's the actual annual program overall for everybody.
Yeah, I understand what you see in that, but it's really up to us to try to direct that money to Black people.
Right. But there's a difference.
If we're not in contact or not talking to a certain administration, because we're on another team and they win, then what do we do? Just sit back and wait?
Oh, no. No. I agree with you 100% on that, because
all of them got flaws in their plan. All of them got holes in their plan. Like I said, they put out this stuff, not me.
Right. I'm just trying to find
and told them what I think. And so from there, they ran with it and did what they wanted to do with it. That's not really my concern. My concern more is making sure that both of these candidates understand that this money has to be directed to Black people. It's a lot of language in both plans that are iffy, tricky, and are there really to make sure we don't get the money. So it's really up to people to engage and make sure that money go where it's supposed to go. But I agree. We've been lied to for a long time. For 400 years or more, and so. One thing I know is we have to do something different. And, one thing is never being too one-sided, hard-headed, proud to speak to whoever's in power. Every great man in the world has spoke to somebody in power at some point in time, whether they agree with them or not.
But here,
listen.
right.
So for me, I told everybody what I was going to do, and I did it. And, they exploited it. But if I would have, did something for Biden, they would have exploited it too. So that's just part of the game. The thing is this. The thing is to get movement. The thing is to make sure that we move the needle no matter who's elected.
I agree.
Our program has to be pushed through. So non-dialogue to me is not how.
No. Here's the deal.
How you do it.
Here's the deal, Cube. I'm not against dialogue. I sat in 2 meetings with Trump and with other television anchors as well. I've been challenging them. Well, I want you to come talk to black media. I know of other African Americans who've been meeting with them on PPP, on other issues as well. The thing for me is this here. I judge folks on what you do. And what I look at is Donald Trump goes to Atlanta, makes this big old announcement about his platinum plan, and I'm sitting there going. So, for instance, I'll pull it up. When I see this plan, and then I see in here where he goes, make Juneteenth a national holiday. Well, first of all, that could have happened in July, but Senator Rob Johnson of Wisconsin still have been blocked in the Senate. Donald Trump said nothing, tweeted nothing, did nothing. He said in here also about the anti-lynching bill. Same thing. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky stood up, blocked it in the Senate. Donald Trump said nothing, did nothing. He in here talks about prosecute the KKK and Antifa. Hell, when they had the debate with Joe Biden, he tried to shut Joe Biden down when he was quoting Christopher Wray, the FBI director, who said the greatest threat of terrorism in America is white domestic terrorism. But the thing is, when I was sitting here, and again, I looked in May. No, hold on one second. But here's my point. In May, when the Biden this is what it's called, the Lift Every Voice, the Biden Plan for Black America. I went through the entire plan and broke it down. Then I went through the Trump Platinum Plan and broke it all down. The issue for me is that when it comes to Trump's plan, there's no specificity. There just simply isn't. Even when you talk about programs, when I will say when I go through Biden's program, when he's talking about state small business credit initiative, expand new markets tax credit, improve and expand the SBA programs that most effectively support black-owned businesses, and laying things out that are specifics. That's the deal. I'm looking at a 22-page plan from Biden and a 1-page plan for Trump, and I'm sitting there going, and I went through Trump's plan. I'm like, there's nothing there. It's a lot of words. Not really, because it's only 1 page. But the deal is, I'm like, dude, you've been the president. You want to make this whole deal how you ushered in economic prosperity, which really all started under Obama beginning in 2010. But it is lacking. Do you believe that the Trump campaign greatly overstated your involvement for the purpose of them being able to say, we have attached ourselves to Ice Cube? Did you believe that you were used politically for their purposes as opposed to really what happened?
Look, I knew whoever I engaged with would use that politically. I don't care about that part. The part I care about is getting something done. Look, my plan is called the Contract with Black America. So all of them lacking when it comes to that. So that's what I'm pushing. So anybody who's going to implement those plans into their plan, then I'm going to take a look at it. But both plans are lacking, and that's why we become educated voters for real, and then you pick who you want to pick. But at the end of the day, for us not to engage with both sides of the aisle to fix this, which I think is an American problem, that to me ain't going to help us in the end. What's going to help us is once we, realize how much power we have. Now, you said that, of course, Trump didn't stop all these things or didn't mention these things. Okay, maybe it was before he knew he needed the black vote as much as he do. You never know. This is what deals are made of. So I don't know what they're going to do.
No. That's actually that's not the case. Hold on. I can tell you personally. No. Hold up. You said before you knew the black vote. I just want to just correct something, Ice Cube. I'm going to let you finish. I just want to correct something. I met with the White House in 2018. They told me directly in 2018, we think we can get 20% black male support in the 2020. So it didn't, they were fully aware of that.
Why'd you meet with him? Why'd you meet with him?
I'm a journalist.
Why'd you meet with him?
I'm a journalist.
What'd you meet with him to talk about?
I'm a journalist. I met with him to talk about public policy issues, to ask them those various
public
questions.
policy issues, and their thing was to get 20% of the vote.
No, right.
Okay.
No, they said no, not 20% of the vote.
Did they think they was going to get that for free?
Right. This is what they said. They said they believe they could get 20% of the black male vote, and they specifically said they were going to use criminal justice reform and economic policies
Why
as
did they
rate.
think they can get 20% of the black male vote? Why did they think that?
Because they said they think that they can appeal to disaffected black men. They said point blank, they know black women don't like them.
Why can they appeal to that demographic? Who's not appealing to that demographic? How can they swoop in and get it?
Who?
That should have been covered.
What do you mean?
This is what I'm asking. How can they swoop in and get something that's supposed to be covered?
Well, first of all, that's not the case because in 2012, between Obama and Romney, there was a 9-point gap between black men and black women who voted for Obama and Romney. In 2013, with Trump and Hillary Clinton, that expanded to 13%. Now, when you look at 2020, they believe that, we think there's an opportunity here for us to be able to appeal to black men on economic policies because they say black women can't stand it.
Well, it's not being done for black men in this country that the number is growing.
Because, first of all, because the difference between black men and black women, black men are more likely to be.
Why don't the
hold up. You asked the question. I'm going to answer it. Because this is from focus groups, from polling data. Black men are more appealed by Trump's anti-immigration position than black women. That's one. That's one of the issues there. One of the issues that we also see is that we've seen where black men feel as if the Democrats have appealed more to black women than black men. Thirdly, Donald Trump, by touting the First Step Act, saying he got criminal justice reform done and Democrats didn't, which is actually a lie. The mistake that Democrats have made is they haven't taken credit for the First Step Act because if the Democrats don't pass it in the House, it actually don't get done. And so they see an opportunity to be able to target black men who are disaffected by both parties by appealing to their pocketbooks, their 401ks, by using tax policy, and that's what their strategy is.
So what's the Democrat strategy to target black men?
And that's one of the things that I've been challenging them on as well by saying when you have a problem, when you see 9 points in 2012 to go to 13 points in 2016 and it might go to 20, you got a problem. So you better focus on that and shore it up, which means you better speak to those issues, speak to those men, having those surrogates doing it, but also speaking to the policies. I've been covering this very issue when it comes to these black men for months. Now, Democrats haven't done it. Now, folks are sort of trying to pay attention now. But I actually was talking to Tom Perez and the DNC about this 4 years ago. So I got to ask you this shit, too, because on that particular point there. So I got an email from someone, and they said, why is Ice Cube only talking about this contract now? So the person wanted me to ask, where was Ice Cube doing the primary? Where is he in 2018? How do you answer people who say that?
I was actually just, being an artist, rapping, thinking all this stuff was covered, thinking people that actually was in power, was out doing their job, making sure they had something specifically for black people to win. And when I looked up, I realized all this stuff is not specifically for black people. It's for minorities. It's for people of color. It's for everybody but us. So, I had to kind of take it upon myself to do something that was strictly for black people and write something up with some very smart, educated people and come up with a plan. It all happened after George Floyd was killed. So that's where I've been. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have to do it if it was being done.
But actually,
where has this contract been? Since the 60s. Since the 60s, we've had over 7,000. Hello?
No, you're on. Go ahead. I'm listening. You're on.
Since the 60s, we've had over 7,000 black people elected in office in high positions throughout this country. Over 7,000. And we haven't moved an inch. So don't ask me where have I been. The question is, where the hell are you at?
Well, here's the deal, though. I want on that particular point, I want to bring in Alicia Garza, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. She also is with the Black Futures Lab. Q, you may not be aware of this. You may be aware. They put out this massive black census project. They surveyed, if I'm correct, Alicia, some 30,000 African Americans. They put this whole thing together. How long are they taking? When did y'all release this, Alicia?
We released it in 2019.
So Cube, here was this initiative that they put together, and I would love. And again, when we had you on last time, and Reese was talking about the lack of stuff when it comes to black women, and you said, "Hey, you love to hear from her." I would love for the two of you to actually talk about this, because both of you want to really achieve the same thing, and that is achieve things for black people. And so, Alicia, go right ahead. If you have a question for Ice Cube, Cube, you got a question for Alicia? Go ahead.
Hey, Cube, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. So, I mean, I guess my first question would be, we're in the midst of an incredible movement moment. Folks are all over the country, have been organizing for over 7 years, if not longer, trying to turn Black Lives Matter into a movement that can impact not just protest, but also policy. I did have a chance to read both versions of the contract with Black America, and I'm just curious, are there activists or organizers in this movement that you've been connected to who have been doing some of this legislative advocacy and policy advocacy work?
Yeah, we connected with ADOS, and we helped get a bill passed in California. Governor Gavin Newsom passed AB 3121, which starts the conversation about reparations in California. So we have been connected with, a grassroots organization. We want to connect with as many grassroots organizations who are not connected to any other so-called powers that be, strictly grassroots. And we definitely want to connect with them, people who definitely have no ulterior motives, who really just want to see money get in the hands of the people who built this country and the ancestors and family of the people that built this country.
Do you think that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization? Because I know for the last year I've been getting death threats. I have security now 24/7 because Donald Trump and his administration has been targeting me and Patrice and Opal and thousands of other activists across the country. I understand what you're saying about trying to talk to the people in power, but I think there is a difference here in terms of who we align ourselves with, and I can't at all say that I take a neutral stance here. You haven't endorsed Donald Trump explicitly, but I am just curious about how you meet those things and how you match those things. How do you put forward a Black agenda with a president that is attacking Black people, attacking Black organizers, attacking Black activists, and literally daring and threatening to throw us in jail for the organizing that we've been doing?
Well, both candidates, have their record of what they've done to Black people. You can look at them and see them out. I don't think Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. So that's what I think. What the president think about Black Lives Matter, that's his personal problem. Right now we feel that somebody's going to be the president. I would love to work with both parties. I'm not against the Biden campaign or nothing like that. Whoever becomes a president, I would definitely be pushing this program on them. And not only the presidents, but Congress people, senators, private sector, you name it. If you go through the contract, you could probably come up with a list of about 500 companies we can talk to about this situation. So the thing is, what I don't think is healthy for Black people is to automatically jump on one side, and if the other side loses, we just wait for 4 years to engage and hope our side win. It's time for us to let both sides understand this is a bipartisan issue like anything else going on in America.
Cube, I gotta ask you this.
We,
I want to ask you this here because you talked about reaching out to people. Did you connect with the Congressional Black Caucus at all? Because they reached out. They reached out after they saw what happened yesterday. They reached out to me, and they sent me this. They sent me this. They sent me. Go to my iPad, guys. Come on. Platinum Plan
can't
versus.
see anything.
Okay, no, right. No, I was talking to the control room. Right, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read it to you. Platinum Plan versus Contract with Black America versus CBC legislation. You call for your CBWA calls for ending qualified immunity, banning chokeholds, and elimination of no-knock warrants. The CBC says all of that is included in the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, but it hasn't been enacted by the folks there in Congress. I mentioned Juneteenth, the federal holiday. The same thing about anti-lynching law. Your contract calls for baby bonds of $1,000 for all new babies. The CBC says that's in their CBC's Jobs and Justice Act. You proposed a plan for neo-reconstruction. The CBC said we gave President Trump a 125-page detailed plan to do this in 2017. 4 years later, we've seen nothing. And according to the CBC, and I want you to respond to this here, according to the CBC, you propose a one-time interest-free home loan for qualified Black Americans. The CBC says, quote, this plan only addresses access to a loan for certain Black people. It does not address necessary relief provisions to prevent foreclosures and expand forbearance for homeowners, but the CBC Jobs and Justice Act does. And so what the Congressional Black Caucus says is the things that you're saying that these things have not been done, have not been focused on, they say it has been done. It's literally in our bills. They were passed by the House, but ignored by the Senate. The Black Census Project that Alicia was working on, they dropped in 2019. She's saying they have been working on those things. And so just your response to that was, especially with the CBC saying, no, it's actually in our bills that have been passed. But they were passed by the House, but ignored by the Senate.
My thing is keep up the good work. Keep going at it. You know, we got to get it passed. There's going to be a lot of overlap because we got good ideas. So that's going to happen. But, you know, until things get passed, they're not passed. So we got to push to get them passed.
Alicia, I'm going to bring Alicia in here. Cube, I think one of the things that's important, if y'all go to bring Alicia 3-shot of this, would be great. This is where, and this is what I've heard from people. I've heard from people is, man, Cube is out here with his contract and he's dropping videos and saying things. But then you have folk like Alicia and others who are doing it. And one of the things that you said when I last interviewed you, you said that this is where collaboration is important. And so with that in mind, you're there on the West Coast. Alicia's there on the West Coast. To me, this is an opportunity, I think, for the two of you to get together, for the other activists to get together. And so as opposed to Cube's contract and then the Black Census Project, then what the CBC is doing, this is how you take Black Collective and say, how do we take all of these plans and then begin to move and then get the policies that we want? Alicia and Cube, what do y'all think about that? Alicia first.
Well, I think a few things, and I appreciate you raising that, Roland. I mean, to me, you can't have movement on an agenda without a movement. And there are so many incredible organizers and activists all over this country who are coming together and fighting back every single day. And that is what it actually takes to create this level of change. You know, I will say that, Cube, I agree with you in terms of your frustration. I've been frustrated, too. I took the Black Agenda 2020 to these campaigns, to the party, and I've had a hell of a time getting phone calls back. You know, I've had to do a lot of maneuvering even to get the smallest pieces of our plan inside any kind of platform. And so that is to be criticized, and we need to keep holding their feet to the fire. But where I disagree with the conclusion here is that, A, I don't think justice is a business transaction. I think if we're going to change systems, policies, and laws, we have to get in the game and stay in the game. And I don't think it's a simple, you give me this, I get that back, I give you this, you get that back. We have to govern an entire country, and we can't govern that way. Donald Trump is governing that way, and that's what's not working. I also want to just offer here that for me, you know, I've heard Van Jones and others say that people need to go to the people in power. And I actually, think I understand the premise behind that. But what it overshadows, in my mind, is it allows them to get off the hook for all of the other egregious things that they do to our communities. I can't help but feel sick when I hear Donald Trump, talking about the First Step Act, but then also telling the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. And I don't get to actually look past that. That impacts my everyday life. I get death threats every single day from people who are listening to this president. And therefore, I don't have any confidence that even in the sense that he implements something like the First Step Act when it's convenient for him and talks mess about it when it's not, I don't have any confidence that the amount of power has been built actually to get these things done. I don't fault you for trying to move an agenda, but I don't think we can take any shortcuts here, and I certainly don't think we can jump the line. And, it would be one thing if people actually weren't working on this every day. Imagine what we could do together, Cube, if I had access to a platform
hold on.
But I don't have access.
Hold on, Alicia. Alicia, I know Cube has to go, but Cube, go.
This contract
Go ahead.
been out for months, so there's been, if anybody wanted to work with me, I've been open invitation from day one to work together, make the platform better, and nobody has, or very few have come out to do that. So. I'm not going to wait to get nobody's line. If I feel like I could speak for Black people, I'm going to go speak for Black people to whoever. And, you have a plan for Biden win, but what's your plan if Trump wins? You have to have a plan for either president. And so in either administration, we can't just go dormant because this is the problem, I think, that's been happening with us. We go dormant. We don't push both parties hard to do what needs to be done, what's right. And, some people got a whole country to run. We don't have a whole country to run. Black people in a bad situation. We don't have a pot to piss in. We ain't even really in the damn equation when you really look at it. We just get to show up and we get to go home still broke. And unless you have capital in America, you're not going to be really involved in what's going on in America when it comes to running the whole country. So we got to look after Black people and figure out how to get money in the hands of families and in this country into businesses that went down. We got to figure out how to get a lot of capital into those hands.
So can we do this here then? Can we do this? You care about Black people, Q. I've known Alicia as well. She cares about Black people. So can we, again, as opposed to, different pieces here, this is where I think Black folks come together and say, look, we're going to sit down and talk. We're going to rap. Your number, my number, your email, my email. Let's do that.
I'm more than welcome. Anytime. I'm willing and open. Anybody who's down to help Black people get what we're supposed to get in this country through hell or high water, I'm with them.
Alicia?
Listen, I'm always ready and have been working for 20 years to improve the conditions of Black folks. And like I said, if we had access to a platform like you have, Cube, I bet you we could have gotten a lot farther. So I look forward to working with you.
So here's what I'm gonna do. Show's over. With both of y'all permission, I will send y'all respective information so we can do that because again, I think where we are, first of all, Cube, what you said about when folks are in power, you are correct. I have long said that even if somebody we did not vote for wins, we are still constituents. We are still taxpayers, and so they still owe us. But to Alicia's point, it's also holding them accountable when they're doing things that, frankly, are hurting us as well. And so I think what is required of us is to put that level of pressure on all folks, yet not having permanent friends, but we simply have a permanent interest. I do believe, though, that one of the great, and when you were on last time, you and I talked about this here, infrastructure is critically important. We know what your job is, what you're doing in terms of music, in terms of movies, and what your lane is. But when you have also organizations with people, that also matters as well. And so I hope we can able to lock that down. Final thoughts, Ice Cube, you first.
You know, I let everybody know what I was going to do, and I don't understand the issue with it. One of these guys are going to be the president, and at the end of the day, whoever that is, we got to go press him.
Alicia.
That's just it.
Yeah, I think accountability requires a movement. It's not done over a boardroom table. It's done by bringing folks with you. And so I'm excited to be working with, so many people across the country, the 30,000 people that we surveyed across all political ideologies, incomes, demographics, to really start to lock down not only what these policy issues look like, but also training people to be the people who are making the rules. And so again, Cube, I look forward to working with you.
All right, then. Ice Cube, I appreciate it. This is also why it's important for us to have black platforms where we are able to have the conversation. I saw your tweet, Ice Cube, where you said that CNN booked you for Chris Cuomo, and they then cancel you. That's why I created this platform, for that very reason. We don't have to depend on CNN or MSNBC. We also have to create our own media institutions where we don't just talk about this, where they talk about it for 5 or 6 minutes. We actually have been having this conversation for almost 40 minutes right here. And so I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Same with Alicia Garza as well.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll do it again. Everybody. Thank you very much.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
You are aware of certain kinds of protesters, but in Michigan, when protesters carry guns and Confederate flags and swastikas and call for the governor of Michigan to be beheaded and shot and lynched, somehow you're not aware of that. Somehow you didn't know about it, so you didn't send federal agents in to do to the president's supporters what you did to the president's protesters. So the point I'm trying to make here, Mr. Barr, that I think is very important for the country to understand is that there is a real discrepancy in how you react as the Attorney General, the top cop in this country, when white men with swastikas storm a government building with guns. There is no need for the president to, quote, activate you because they're getting the president's personal agenda done. But when black people and people of color protest police brutality, systemic racism, and the president's very own lack of response to those critical issues, then you forcibly remove them with armed federal officers, pepper bombs, because they are considered terrorists by the president. You take an aggressive approach to Black Lives Matter protests, but not to right-wing extremists threatening to lynch a governor if it's for the president's benefit. Did I get it right, Mr. Barr?
Bring bringing back Michael Imhotep, who joins us, and Joseph Williams with U.S. News and World Report. I want to talk about, though, that Representative Pramelia Jayapal ad, Michael. That was, first of all, the ad was from the folks with Really American, but that was so strong and powerful because she's right. Bill Barr will not speak out against white supremacists. Only Christopher Wray, the FBI director. Bill Barr, and so again, this just simply reinforces the Trump folks are appealing to these angry white men, these white domestic terrorists. She nailed his ass to the wall.
Absolutely. She nailed him, and I want to see more ads like that, because that gets straight to the point. And what that does is that ties into Christopher Wray, that ties in FBI Director Christopher Wray, his testimony right around September 17th, 2020, and he said that the white domestic terrorists, they're the most lethal threat to America. But then also we see what happened here in Michigan. They've been talking about this all day on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation and radio station my show is on here in Detroit. And then we see that on top of all of this, because Governor Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, our governor, she called out Donald Trump in a press conference yesterday, if I remember correctly, and really laid this at his feet. She's correct. Because I remember April 17th, 2020, when Donald Trump tweeted, "Liberate Michigan," and encouraged these white men to go to the state capitol, and they were armed with assault rifles, right? So then he has the nerve to say that Governor Gretchen Whitmer did not thank him for the FBI and authorities breaking up this plot to kidnap members of the government in Michigan and possibly assassinate some of them, especially her. So what we see here, brother, is we see, as my friend Dr. Greg Carr calls them, the white nationalist party. We see the white nationalist party in cahoots with a lot of these white supremacists. And lastly, a Michigan State Attorney General, Dana Nessel. She was interviewed by Katie Tur on MSNBC, and she did some other interviews, also CBS News. And she talked about how they have seen these white supremacist nationalist organizations in the state capitol hobnobbing with law enforcement, hobnobbing with members of law enforcement at these protests, things like this. And this is another dimension to this as well. So, brother, this is why these are critical times. We have to stay vigilant, and we have to pay attention to what's going on, and we have to protect ourselves also, because the Second Amendment applies not just to white people, but African Americans.
Again, when you see the lack of anything from Bill Barr, the fact that he has said nothing about these arrests. It was a U.S. attorney, 20 different people, Joseph, who have been arrested, and again, Trump. Really, his only comment is blasting the governor. This is their base. So folks should not be shocked. In fact, I'm going to try to find the video. There's this white sheriff in Michigan who was on stage at a anti-mask rally with two of these white men who's arrested. And this fool actually tried to say, well, they could have been trying to arrest the governor, and the law allows for a felony arrest. A white sheriff is literally trying to come up with a defense for these white domestic terrorists. Joseph.
Well, it's not anything new. I mean, we've seen this throughout Trump's presidency. I mean, think about some of the bizarre statements that he's made, including on the death of George Floyd. He said George Floyd would be happy that he signed a bill, that George Floyd was a tragic death, but, things happen. This has been a pattern. And as far as the nexus between law enforcement and white supremacy, that one goes back for a long time, too.
Yep.
I mean, think about the people who were involved in a lot of the civil rights murders. Many of them wore stars and badges on their chests. Think about the militiamen who shot two people during the protests in Michigan. It's not unusual. And the problem here is that we've got so many guns in the population that anybody can take up arms and nobody will blink an eye. And I think also the problem here is the fact that if we had a functional Justice Department, if we had a functional presidency and an executive branch, we would not have necessarily these problems with militiamen running around thinking that they're going to kidnap politicians and overturn the state and spark what they think is a revolution. I mean, That's not how it goes. So I think that one of the things we need to do is look back hard at the Justice Department. Look back hard at what they're doing and what they're not doing and what the Trump administration is keeping them from doing. Look at what Bill Barr has done. Look at what members of Congress on the Republican side, on the Judiciary Committee, and those sorts of assignments have done. I think by the time this presidency is over, we're going to have seen a lot of stuff under the rug that will just blow our minds. Not like what we've seen already hasn't been bad enough. We're going to find out a lot of things and a lot of close calls that we had that nobody really addressed, and that probably some people would have taken to the grave if they'd been able to. It's going to be a long time cleaning up after this one.
And I think also, Michael, I think what we have to recognize is that there is going to have to be a true reckoning. What I mean by a true reckoning, I don't think people understand how white supremacists and these folks have infiltrated law enforcement, have infiltrated the Marine. There has to be a purge. There has to be a massive purge in this country. We had the woman on with the group where they discovered this private Facebook chat group where these cops were hurling racist, sexist messages around. And these were cops from police departments all across the country. And so we have to understand that. We did the story, it was a Louisiana TV station, I think it was out of Baton Rouge. Did a story on a member of a drug task force, a state trooper who called another cop the N-word, and that officer still has his job and is still undercover in New Orleans. This station went so far as to publish this guy's photo and name because they were saying, what do you think? If he called a black man who's a fellow cop the N-word, could he very well railroad black folks in his cases? That's the kind of stuff that we have to understand is going on in this country.
Absolutely. And when we look at this history of policing, and in addition to being the host of the African History Network show, I'm also a historian. I know there's an increased, there's a wave of white supremacists infiltrating law enforcement, but when I do an analysis, they've always been in law enforcement. It's just, I think it's getting worse, and we're learning more about it. But it's important for us to understand white supremacists have always been in law enforcement. Okay, now that does not mean that we should tolerate it or it's acceptable. The other thing is, as these white supremacists become exposed, as they get fired, because we're seeing this in different cities. We've also seen that here in the city of Detroit with Detroit Police Department as well. Certain incidences and white officers being fired. It's important for African Americans to understand at the end of the day, many of us are going to have to apply to the police department and become the type of officers we say we want to see. The officers who serve and protect, the officers who live in the community and protect the community that they live in. At the end of the day, many of us are going to have to apply to the police department and become those officers, because that's one less spot for a white supremacist to be an officer as well.
Again,
Joseph,
go ahead.
One thing that I wanted to talk about, I mean, you make a very good point and a very strong point, but the thing that echoes through my mind, I mean, I'm an old cop reporter. A lot of times the police departments themselves are a culture of white supremacy. Even black officers sometimes fall prey to this. Even though black officers are supposed to be the ones that are protecting and serving and looking out for the community, when they become a part of the culture, the question gets asked, are you black or are you blue? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is blue until those officers get into trouble, and then it's a whole other problem. So I think that while your point is spot on, I think the culture itself needs to be destroyed. It needs to be dismantled. It needs to be taken down. And we need to rebuild police departments and reimagine policing from the ground up. Now, the problem that you have with that is that too many departments are controlled by unions. Too many other departments are controlled by politicians. And that is a very dangerous combination, especially when it comes for African Americans and trying to make sure that policing is not only fair, but also responsible and accountable. Too often, we have no accountability with police departments. And that, I think, is one of the hugest problems with police violence and police allowing to get away with this, where there is no accountability and the culture is allowed to flourish. So you need to just break it down and start rebuilding from square one with a culture of accountability and fairness for everybody.
If you want to understand how the Trump folks are focused on and appealing to racists, look at this. The Justice Department has suspended all diversity and inclusion training in every division, including for immigration judges that regularly hear cases of persecution based on religion, LGBT status, and gender. Not only that, folks, so not only that, just yesterday, this same department all of a sudden filed a lawsuit against the folks at Yale over what? Yes, admissions in where race comes up. But not only that, I'm going to post one more. Let me find the article I sent to our folks. Not sure we have it in the script. The Labor Department.
Yes.
The Labor Department, they are now targeting companies. So, you know, you've had these companies, Microsoft, NBC News, and others announce the hiring of black staffers. They're going to commit to hiring these. They're now targeting these companies. This is unbelievable, y'all. They're targeting these companies to say, oh, here it is, to see, are you instituting quotas? Look at this here. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Numerical diversity hiring targets attract government scrutiny. The U.S. Labor Department is investigating companies with federal contracts that have included specific numerical goals in their pledges to increase diversity, arguing that these resemble illegal quotas and could potentially discriminate against white applicants and other groups, according to people familiar with the matter. These people, Michael, I mean, yes. It is not more clear that they are hell-bent on running a white supremacist campaign.
Well, you know, Roland, all this, we see this common thread all across the board. And as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who I knew and had interviewed before, and as Nellie Fuller have taught us, if you do not understand European white supremacy and racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you think you understand will totally confuse you. When you look at the article from Forbes.com, U.S. Labor Department investigating Microsoft over its commitment to increase black representation in workforce, there was a representative from Microsoft who retorted back. His name Dev Stalkoff. He retorted back to the Labor Department and said that Microsoft is they know full well how to appropriately create opportunities for people without taking away opportunities from others. So what you see here, the same attack that Trump is making on the 1619 project, even though there's some flaws with the 1619 project, but the same attack he's making there, the same attack he's making on diversity training, he's making here when it comes to what Microsoft is doing and other companies, okay? So what they want to do is control all of this opportunity and to lock African Americans out of these opportunities and, non-white people, but at the same time, try to give us a 2-page platinum plan, which is a fool's gold plan to stay in power, to keep inflicting harm upon us. So this is some more, but this is reason number 453 why Donald Trump must be voted out of office.
All right, folks, back to our Road Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Seek.com using this promo code RMV VIP 2020 RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, y'all know what time it is.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, Carl.
Yeah, illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa!
Hey!
You don't live here. I'm uncomfortable.
Now check this out, y'all. A Trump supporter identified as Robert Brissett was filmed taunting Black Lives Matter supporters with homophobic slurs before violently coughing on them at a gas station in Utah.
You Democrats, Black lives don't matter, all lives matter. You look like a little pansy-ass piece of shit, you. So do you. Oh, I'm so scared of your fucking virus. You know what? I can charge you with assault for hitting me. I can charge you for assault for hitting me. So fuck off. Bad enough you're talking shit to me. That's also assault for talking. Fuck you. Fuck you. You assaulted me first. You assaulted me first. Fuck you.
I keep telling y'all, whoop that ass. You first of all, you're coughing in my face. He says I can charge you with assault. With coronavirus going on, that might not hold up in court, Scott. So you're a lawyer in this coronavirus deal. Dude comes over, minding your business, starts coughing in your face. Can I whoop his ass? Is that assault?
If he knows.
No.
Yes.
Actually, courts have ruled previously in previous cases, not with regards to coronavirus, but other communicable diseases, that any attempt to infect another individual against their will is a form of assault. So, you can argue that it would be a self-defense situation, but the little guy in the red shirt did try to hit him one time, so I think that might count.
Well, it depends on whether it was met with reasonable force or not. But if it's worse, if he knew he had corona or may have corona, let's say he didn't, and he gives it to them and they can trace it and he dies, let alone he is incapacitated for any amount of time. You're talking about criminal assault. I'm talking about a civil lawsuit.
So what you're saying is, I could whoop his ass if I'm protesting and he walks over and starts coughing in my face.
I say yes. Yeah, that would probably invite an ass whooping. You can't kill him, though. You have to meet force with reasonable force.
I didn't say kill him. I said whoop his ass. Michael?
Well, how hard you going to hit him?
Is because he weaponized the cough. He didn't cough by mistake. It was a cough directly at the people, knowing it would scare them. The people that got coughed on.
It was intentional.
Corona. So, yes, Scott, you could whoop his ass.
Cool. Yeah. All right. That's all I wanted to know.
But how hard you going to hit him?
Hey, we'll get to that later. But if you cough in my face.
Apprehensive of felonious touch.
Say it again, Robert.
You place the victim in a reasonable apprehension of a felonious touch, so that would vitiate a use of self-defense in any state.
Okay, so that's a nicer way, very professional. Yes, you can whip his ass, but keep my card with you.
Yeah, I'm going to call Robert. All right. I appreciate it, Scott, Robert, Michael. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, Seek.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Let's talk about politics, and that is Senator Doug Jones, the only Democratic senator from the Deep South, is running for a full term against former football coach Tommy Tuberville, who frankly is just, when I say stuck on stupid, I'm just gonna say stuck on stupid. I got no problem saying it. This man has, I don't care what none of y'all say. I ain't about to be impartial, objective at all. This man has no business being in the United States Senate. Do y'all have the audio of when they were discussing the Voting Rights Act? Do y'all have that? Okay. To everybody listening, I want you to undergird yourself to one of the dumbest answers you have ever heard in somebody discussing the Voting Rights Act, which was born out of the black belt in Alabama that this fool Tommy Tuberville wants to represent. Play this.
The thing about the Voting Rights Act is it's, there's a lot of different things you can look at it as. Who's it going to help? What direction do we need to go with it? I think it's important that with everything we do, we keep secure. We keep an eye on it. It's run by our government, and it's run to the point that it's got structure to it. It's like education. It's got to have structure. Now, for some reason, we look at things to change, to think we're going to make it better, but we better do a lot of work on it before we make that change.
What the hell was he talking about, Senator Jones?
You got me, Roland. I just got to be honest with you. I have yet to figure it out. And I guess the reason I can't figure it out is because he can't figure it out. He has no idea. He has no clue of what he was talking about. And that quite frankly, I think that once that become public, that is why he is completely underground. He is not talking to the media. He's not talking to the people of Alabama. He is not doing anything but 30-second TV ads.
The thing here is the man wants to be the United States Senator from Alabama. What the hell has he done other than coach football?
Well, he's actually done a few things that are not so good. He coached football, but he quit those last 4 jobs. He tried to run a hedge fund for a year between his Auburn job and Texas Tech. Got money, millions of dollars with him and a partner for people investing, telling those folks that he was going to watch over their money, review their investments and all. Then he quit on them, went to Texas, and guess what happened? His partner embezzled all the money, and he ended up getting sued. He had to settle with the investors. He quit on everybody. That's the main thing. He's even, he's got a charity fund out there that he raises money for, supposedly for veterans. But the records show that out of every dollar he's raised, only 18 cents go to veterans. So that's the record that he's got to deal with. And he's not engaged. He's not trying to be a U.S. senator. And I think the very fact that non-answer on the voting rights should just disqualify him from being a U.S. Senator from Alabama, even being a U.S. Senate candidate from Alabama.
And what I need people to understand, and is it resonating there? Because we're talking about Alabama, we're talking about Birmingham, we're talking about Montgomery bus boycott, we're talking about Selma, we're talking about Bloody Sunday, we're talking about, again, folk who put it on the line, the foot soldiers, and it has to be shocking, stunning, and embarrassing to them to have somebody who clearly has no damn clue what the Voting Rights Act is, and he is going to be their representative in the U.S. Senate? One of the two?
It's I tell you, it's energizing a lot of people to get out to vote. You know, we got some early voting going on now in Alabama. It's an absentee ballot process, but we got folks engaged in getting out to vote in record numbers. There's some things going on even on a Saturday tomorrow here in Birmingham, Jefferson County. So it's energized a lot of people. And for a lot of other folks, it's just got folks scratching their head about why does he really want to do this? You know, he hadn't even lived in Alabama, and he's just moved to Alabama 18 months ago as an ego trip to run for the United States Senate. So there's a lot of things out there, Roland. People are beginning as,
wait, hold up. He has only lived in Alabama for the last 18 months?
Yeah, that's right. No, he lived in Alabama from like 1999 to 2008. He's not born here, never lived in Alabama until he started coaching at Auburn. As soon as he left and quit coaching at Auburn, he stayed around for another year running that hedge fund, then moved to Texas, then moved to Cincinnati. And then after that, he's got a big old house down on Santa Rosa Beach. He's had a lake house, a vacation property that he sold a couple years in Alabama. But he's not lived in Alabama and moved to Alabama literally to run for the United States Senate just about, I guess it's about 2 years ago now. He didn't even vote in Alabama in 2018. When the election was held in 2018, he was not a registered voter in the state of Alabama. And that's a fact. He just moved to run for the Senate. This is a kind of an ego trip. And you know me, you and I've talked about this a long time. I'm born and bred here, lived here all my life. And Alabama runs deep in my blood. And it's really kind of shocking that he would come and try to do this. But the fact is, we're okay. We're moving in the right direction. This race feels so much like it did in 2017 when we ultimately won that race.
This is, again, as I'm, and Mustafa and Michael, prepare your questions for Senator Doug Jones. The thing that I still grapple with, and I get it. I get Alabama is deep red, but at some point, common sense has to set in. Y'all haven't had any debates, right?
No. He will not. He didn't even debate Jeff Sessions. And if he's not going to debate Sessions, he's sure as hell not going to debate me. He's not only not debating now, I'm telling you, this guy's staying underground. They've got him. You remember the old Get Smart show? You know,
yep.
You know, in the cone of silence.
Yeah.
They have him in a cone of silence because he is not talking to the media. Even when he goes to some of his own Republican clubs, they don't let him speak to the group. He just kind of works the crowd a little bit and shakes hands. And it's because of that Voting Rights Act, and because that's going to be his non-answer to just about any substantive question that he gets. His only message is, I support Donald Trump. That's just it. And we're out there every day. We're out there doing shows like yours. I've been all day today on the phone with media interviews all day long today because, people ask me about the media. The question that media phrases, what do you make of him not talking to the media? And I said, well, wait a minute. It's not that he's not talking to the media. You guys are the microphones to the public. He's not talking to the people of Alabama when he's not talking to the media. And I think that that's really important. And people are beginning to take notice. They're wondering, why is he even here? Why is he running for this office? What's up with this guy?
Mustafa, you got a question for Senator Doug Jones?
Yes, Senator Jones, thank you for being a champion for civil rights because I know your record over the years. My question for you is, what is your vision for Alabama?
Oh, my vision for Alabama is one of an inclusive society. And I think we proved that. I think we proved in 2017 that Alabama has got a best foot forward that people a lot around the country hadn't always seen. They think about us sometimes in old days in black and white images. But there's so many incredible things going on in the state. It's a state of incredible diversity and natural resources. We've got a good business climate for folks, but we've got a good working climate for folks. And so my vision is to really represent that. That's why my campaign slogan is One Alabama, so that folks know when they've got a United States senator, I'm not representing just a privileged few. I'm representing all Alabama. And it doesn't matter if I am going down in the black belt of Alabama, waiting around to try to make sure that the sewer sanitation and the septic tanks down there are working properly and putting money in the federal budget to do that. Or I'm going up to Huntsville, Alabama at Redstone Arsenal to watch test fire for the next engines that's going to take a rocket and a man to the moon. That's Alabama. It's an amazing place. And my vision is to make sure that we put those divisions of the past behind us and that we unify together and we come out as one Alabama. I've said many times, and Roland has heard me say it, so many of our divisions in the country started in the South, but we can be the place of healing and reconciliation and going forward, and that's what I've tried to do.
Michael, your question for Senator Doug Jones.
Hello, Senator Doug Jones. This is Michael Imhotep. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Well, look, I covered your senatorial campaign in 2017 for 9:10 a.m. WFDF here in Detroit, reported on it. Had a quick question for you. In 2017, it was African Americans who mobilized, organized, registered to vote, and came out and supported you, men and women. How have your policies been able to help African Americans, help their conditions, et cetera? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Great question, and thank you for asking about that. But I'm going to tell you, Michael, I got to say this before we start. I noticed when I was watching you guys talk before I came on, you had those two Muhammad Ali pictures right behind you, including the one where you're standing over Sonny Liston. I want you to know that just over here to my left, I've got that photograph in a big oh gosh, it's probably a 20 by 30, or maybe it's 11, something like that. But it's autographed. And it's autographed, and it's an amazing signature. He autographed it, Muhammad Ali, after me, there will never be another. And then he did a little boxing ring in it. It is one of my prized, memorabilia collections. So I just had to say that first. So what have we done? And look, we've been there a lot. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that doesn't understand and appreciate folks that supported you. And one of the first things I did, and I alluded to it a minute ago, right after I took office, was taking a tour down in the Black Belt area to see some just unbelievable conditions where people are straight piping sewer into the woods, where septic tanks are so bad that it bubbles up, where kids are playing. There's a hookworm problem down there. And so one of the things that we were able to do that year is get up several $100 million in for grant monies that people can apply for. And they're doing that now to try to help those systems. The other thing that I've done, and I'm very incredibly proud of this, I've been a real champion for historically black colleges and universities. We have 14 in the state of Alabama. We've got more than any state in the country. And I have been a strong proponent. The first year in the Senate, Kamala Harris and I teamed up. We got a 14% increase in funding for HBCUs that year, another 14% the next year. And then in December of 2019, we were able to get the Futures Act across the finish line for permanent funding for HBCUs. So we're giving folks an opportunity. And part of it is, I can't get everything accomplished like the voting rights extension that I want to do. I can't get so many bills done because McConnell won't bring them to the floor. But I've got a number of bills where I've been an advocate for maternal health, infant mortality, because you all know that affects the black community more than anybody else. So an advocate for rural hospitals, increased access to health care, expanding Medicaid. Part of my job is to have a bully pulpit to talk and be an advocate. And those are the kind of things that we've been doing. And folks know it. They see it. They hear it. I think we're going to have a great turnout. We're having great turnouts already, but by the time the votes are all counted, we're going to have a great turnout for this election.
Are you getting support from the Democratic Party? They've often written off the South. Reverend Barber and others have said you're guaranteed to lose if you never actually campaign there. What are polls looking like? Fundraising, those critical things.
Well, fundraising has gone well. I wish I could say it's gone as well as Jamie Harrison in South Carolina, but that's just out in the stratosphere. But it's gone well. We've been up and doing a lot of things. And let me talk about the party first. There's been, Tom Perez and I talk a lot, and he has been trying to do a lot of help. My colleagues in the Senate, individually, my colleagues have been awesome. They've been great. I've been disappointed in the DSCC and others because I think they're just looking at weird analytics that don't have any relevance to what's going on the ground. And then I'm not going to tell you anything different that I've said to them. It's been disappointing because I'm going to tell you, Roland, our tracking polling that we're showing is really strong. We are showing a tight race, which we always knew, and we're doing tracking every day. And we've got a poll that we just kind of put up today that showed that I had a 1-point lead in this. Now that, things are fluid. We know that. But every demographic is moving our way. Everything that we're seeing, and when people are asked about who can do the best job on the pandemic, on healthcare, on different things like that, I am way ahead of him. I'm way ahead in independents, those that are voting early. And on the experience question, it's really lopsided when they said, who's got the experience to be a United States Senator? So our polling has us right there ahead, all within the margin of error, of course. And that's why fundraising is so important for us in these final 2 weeks, so we can stay up. But we feel really good about where we are right now. And I'm excited about what we're seeing in our tracking polls every day, because I've told folks we're going to prove these damn pundits wrong again. And I'm going to let them argue that Doug Jones can't win a race again all the time up until November 3rd when I give my victory speech once again.
Well, I think it's pretty stupid that if Democrats actually think that they'll be able to win, you got to actually run. And whether we're talking about Alabama, same thing. Mike Espy is down 1 point to Cindy Hyde-Smith. Right. She won't even debate him. And the DSCC is doing the exact same thing. He just released some fundraising numbers, best ever as well, because other people out there are pushing it. I mean, he only lost by 68,000 votes in 2018. And I argued then that the Democrats should have been actually on the ground, working it, finding 70,000, 80,000 people to pick up in 2020, but you got to put the work in. You can't do it just during a campaign season. You got to do it in the off season as well.
That's exactly right. And we've been doing that. And so we're going at it hard, and we've had the resources that we've been able to do it. We can always use more, because right now in the last 2 weeks, it's going to be that ground game and get out the vote efforts. I will tell you the Alabama Democratic Party has reached out to close to 2 million people right now, and they've touched hundreds of thousands of people. And we're feeling that energy. We see it. It's reflected in those pollings. And I think everything is moving in the direction that we want to see it move in. And because, politics is a funny business. As folks focus in on the election, they focus in on who's going to best lead them, who's going to best have their back, not the back of Donald Trump, not the back even of Joe Biden, but the backs of the people of Alabama. And that's where I've got the record that I'm really proud of. And I think people see that.
All right. Well, for all the folks who watch our show, tell your family members they're in Alabama, get registered, vote. It's important. Use the power of the ballot, and don't assume. And I've seen this, Senator Doug Jones. I've had some black people say, well, I live in Alabama. My vote doesn't count. Your vote definitely doesn't count if you never cast it.
That's exactly right. And Roland, you're absolutely right about that. And all you got to do is look in the camera right now. I am Exhibit A of what happens when you get out to vote. That's what happened. Good things happen when we can get out and vote in numbers. So you're absolutely right. Don't sit back. Get your friends, get your neighbors, and everybody in your family. Let's get out to vote, because we've got the numbers to do it for sure.
All right. Senator Doug Jones of Alabama. We surely appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, folks. Back to our Roadblock Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, Seek.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, I have told y'all consistently about what Republicans are doing. We are 21 days before Election Day. Please, I want you to do this here. We, of course, emphasize, I want you to go to vote.org, vote.org, to double check your registration. Deadlines to register. We are not there yet. We still have deadlines, and so you can still get registered to vote. But as you see right here, go to vote.org. You can actually check your registration. You can, of course, go on their site. You can register to vote. You can do all things that you need to do. We want you to be focused on this election. Okay, this is what's going on. But let me tell you about what's happening, folks, here in what's happening in California. Okay, this is crazy. The California Secretary of State, they are receiving a number of calls about unauthorized drop boxes popping up in Fresno, Los Angeles, and Orange counties. This is a tweet from Jordan Teague, a regional field director for the California Republican Party, who is encouraging people to message him for, actually, y'all should have the tweet on your end, who is encouraging people to message him for convenient locations to drop their own ballots. Here's the problem. The drop box pictured is not an official drop box. Despite that, it has a sign that says official ballot drop box on it. Folks, this is voter fraud. Republicans talk about voter fraud. They are actually doing voter fraud right here. Okay, the report said that boxes like these are being seen at local political party offices, candidate headquarters, and churches as well. That's what I keep trying to explain to people, what is happening, how Republicans play dirty. Mustafa, we're going to see more of this between now and Election Day because they are desperate. They know the only way Donald Trump can win, how they can win in many other places, if they play dirty.
They're trying to rig the game. And, you know, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission actually talked about a number of these issues. You know, everything from there shouldn't be, 15,000 people. You should have to have a drop box for that. That you should have to have video coverage or surveillance of the drop box so you know if there's any nefarious behaviors that are going on. The signage that's there for it. All these various things have already been suggested, and folks have been utilizing it in Washington State, in Colorado. Folks have been utilizing drop boxes for a number of years and making sure that they have all these things in place. And we should also make sure that folks know that you can get a felony charge for this type of voter fraud stuff that's going on in California. You can spend 2 to 4 years in prison for doing these types of things. So, folks just need to make sure that they're paying attention. 2, that there's accountability in the process. And 3, we need to actually ratchet up, the enforcement that needs to happen in these spaces.
Teresa, this is something, again, I keep warning folks about. Republicans will play dirty. They will cheat. And we're seeing this. Donald Trump can tweet all day about elections being rigged, but his party, they're doing it. When you talk about even here in Texas, where the governor announced the only one drop box for every single county. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the next hour. We're actually talking with the Harris County clerk, how that's impacted them. A federal judge ruled against the governor. An appeals court overturned that. So we're now in the courts. Republicans are going to also, and this is why Amy Coney Barrett is important. They want, and why she's important, those 218 federal judges, Teresa, because they want to use those federal judges to rule in their favor. That's why I need all these people to watching, stop being stuck on stupid and act as if the president doesn't matter. President appoints federal judges. Senate confirms federal judges. When you sue voting issues, you're going to go to federal courts. And so to act as if you care about local issues and you can ignore the top of the ticket, that's nonsense. It all is intertwined, Teresa.
Absolutely. And you know what? Republicans are really showing how desperate they are to maintain power. It is a very disturbing understanding right now of the way that they have been moving into politics. Their politics is really showing exactly what the Democrats have been saying the entire time, that, look, you know, they are not playing by the rules. They do not care about the American people. We are seeing white privilege and privilege in general moving at a high rate that is affecting each and every one of us. And that is the disappointing and the misogyny of it all, because there are some bills that are really sitting right there in the Senate that need to go, and pass, right, with Donald Trump's signature, where he can hold up the folder and say, look what I did. But that's not happening. We no longer are getting the front view seat of the executive orders. What we are getting is Republicans desperately trying to essentially pack their own and use by any means. Donald Trump just got finished putting a tweet out, and, of course, the standard operating procedure is about fake news. But this one's about, he made a precedent to actually say Fox News has been putting out more negative advertisement. And this is like in the last 20 minutes, more negative advertisements against him than any other network. Right. And that literally is a call of action to Fox News to dim it down. And it's so crazy that all these antics are showing his hand in the deal, the art of the deal. And I think people really just need to, just not only wake up, but we got to do better. We got to vote right now. We got to vote consistently. We got to make sure our neighbors, our friends, and our family members, our coworkers are not only voting, but our voice is being heard as well.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Now, big news out of Virginia today. Power line was cut in Virginia that shut down voter registration all across the state. Joining us right now, Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. He joins us at Roland Martin Unfiltered. Lieutenant Governor, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Roland. Thanks so much for having me on today.
All right. So exactly what happened today in Virginia?
Roland, today, as you mentioned, we had a line that was cut that cut off access to our voter registration online services for voters all around the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so when I saw that this morning, I was the first one in the state to call for us to have an extension of the voter registration deadline, which is today, October the 13th, because we don't want any voters to lose out on their opportunity to cast their vote, to have their voices heard. And so it's unfortunate for something like that to happen on any day, but particularly on a day like today. So I'm working with the governor, with the administration, and our Department of Elections to make sure that we are allowing everyone who wants to be able to register to vote and cast their vote to be able to do so.
And so one of the things we're dealing with here, we talk about going on, folks are saying you accidentally cut the power on the last day of voter registration, saying, and people were suspect in Louisiana when they had the first day of National Voter Registration Day, all of a sudden the website went down.
Right. I think that when it comes to something as important as voting, and because of the history of what we've seen around voter suppression and the disenfranchisement of voters, particularly Black and brown voters throughout the nation, particularly throughout the South, we've always got to approach this with skepticism, with really an inquisitive mind, and make sure that some of the same old tricks that we've seen before are not being played. And so I've been on the phone with folks in our government. I'm told there was a construction crew that accidentally cut this line, but we're going to make sure that we get all the facts, that we get to the truth. And most importantly, that we allow people to cast their ballots. Virginia is seeing a surge in early voting here. We made the laws such that people can more easily cast their ballot in early voting. 45 days of early voting. I voted on the very first day of the early voting period, which runs through October the 31st. You no longer need a photo ID to vote in Virginia. And so we have done so many things to make it easier for people to cast their ballots. And we now have over 1 million voters in Virginia who have already cast a ballot. And we're leading the nation in early voting. And so we don't want any of the same old tricks that we've seen played time and time again on voters, particularly in communities of color, to be played again. And as long as I'm Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, I'll be vigilant in making sure that we don't have those repeats of the past.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, we certainly appreciate it, sir. Thank you
Thanks,
very much for joining us.
God bless you.
All right, let's go to our panel here. Joseph Williams, senior editor for U.S. News and World Report. Lauren Victoria Burke, she writes for NNPA, also works with Governor Justin Fairfax, and also Kelly Bethea, communications strategist. Joseph, I'll start with you. I mean, this is sort of the nonsense folks have been talking about. When we talk about voting, these sort of issues happening, again, mysteriously on the last day of voter registration in Virginia, critical state when it comes to this election. That's the stuff that we have been seeing happen constantly. And so folks are saying, how can I trust this process?
Well, it's not only how can you trust the process, it's the fact that you have the president of the United States who's actively sowing confusion about that. So when you have him say, well, I'm not going to trust the vote, everything's going to be rigged unless I win, that filters down not just to his people, but to everybody. Everything is suspect. Everybody is anxious and on edge because we don't know what will happen. And what Lieutenant Governor, and that we've seen shenanigans like this throughout history, except this time it's much, much worse because you've got a guy at the top who's actively said that he is not going to accept any other result than one that puts him on top. So it's sowing confusion. It's having a bad effect. And it's having a ripple effect. And compounding that is seeing line upon line upon line of people who are waiting to vote, bad decisions by the courts, making it harder to vote. And it all goes back to the same thing. The Republicans believe that if they can't win on the ideas, they're going to win by making it more difficult for people to vote.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, Seek.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Now, if you also want to understand why it's important to vote when it comes to the state elections. This is the Senate president in Kansas, Susan Wagle. This is her describing gerrymandering and how they draw districts. She said this publicly, y'all. Listen.
My Senate seat that Renee Erickson is running in right now, it is pro-Biden. It's moved to the left. And during redistricting, I need to give her some more Republican neighborhoods in order to make sure she stays elected. So redistricting is right around the corner. And if Governor Kelly can veto a Republican bill that gives us 4 Republican congressmen, that takes out Sharice Davis up in the 3rd, we can do that. I guarantee you, we can draw 4 Republican congressional maps. But we can't do it unless we have a 2/3 majority in the Senate and House. My Senate seat.
And that right there. Come on.
Right now.
Dr. Carter, that precisely right there. That's why I keep telling people you can't ignore the state elections as well. In Texas, Democrats are 9 seats away from assuming control of the Texas House for the first time in a couple of decades. That now means Republicans cannot control the process. You heard what she said. If we have a 2/3 majority, we can do what the hell we want and not listen to anything the Democrats say.
Exactly. And this is going to control outcomes for at least a decade because that's when we do redistricting. This is why the census is so important and why your president currently wants to close down the census early because they don't want everyone counted. And they do want to make sure that these states are allowed to control electoral districts because they're losing ground. And they know, though, if they can control the districts, they can run the table because if you own that state legislature, you can really control what happens up ballot as well. And I think this is why, our hyper focus on presidential elections has really dulled people to the importance of statewide elections. Statewide elections are essential. And this is why the Republicans have been so successful for so long, because they're losing a share of the population, but their control doesn't suggest it because they control most of the state legislatures in this country because they understood the power of electoral maps and state control very well. And with controlling a few down ballot races, they were able to influence what happens in our federal legislature and in the presidency.
And that's
so.
Go ahead.
Yep. Extremely important, right, for people to pay attention what's happening in their home state and to fill out the census as well. I know people see the crawl, but it's very important to fill out that census because people want to control your life for at least another decade.
And Rob, this is why people have to understand that every position does count, and so you cannot leave the top of the ticket blank, like which happened in Michigan. I'm going to speak to Michael about that. In 2016, 90,000 people left the top blank. That was the difference. Trump won Michigan by 11,000. But again, who controls the state legislatures? Democrats completely forgot that when Obama got elected in 2008. They did not turn out in the 2010 midterm elections. 16 state legislatures flipped. And that was when the voter suppression bill started coming.
That's exactly what happened. And, in Ohio, as you know, I ran for state office, got over 2 million votes. But still, they purged in Ohio starting after that time about 1 million people from the polls. Makes a big difference. Only lost by a few 100,000 votes. So it's and to Dr. Carter's point, right now, not only do we have state legislators drawing these lines, we also have state Supreme Courts. I can tell you, Judge Bruner and Judge O'Connor. On the Democratic side, at least, because they can't be Democrats, but if they get elected, then they can get the majority in the Supreme Court in Ohio, and they are determining a law that was passed for redistricting. So they get to determine how that actually goes, and if they're interpreting the law according to how voters passed it. So all these things matter. It matters in Ohio. It matters wherever you are. Make sure you know the judges that are up, statewide and local, and make sure you know the state positions, your state reps, all of them. Vote up and down the ballot. Every single one of those votes, they do matter.
Michael, about 30 seconds for you to respond before we got to head to a break and then a simulcast with Sirius XM Radio. Go.
Well, 2016 rolling, Donald Trump won Michigan by 10,704 votes. I warned our people. I was doing your show, nationally syndicated radio show, guest hosting that, doing radio here in Detroit on 9:10 a.m. I warned our people about Trump. Everybody's seeing what I was talking about. But very quickly, in that video, that commercial from Joe Biden campaign, the white man with glasses who's saying we really don't want people to vote, that's Paul Weyrich. Paul Weyrich was a co-founder of ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council, in 1973. People research ALEC. These people are fighting for raw, naked power. And one of the main things we have to do is read the U.S. Constitution. Because when we read the Constitution, then we will understand how all this comes together. And the Constitution created the census, which was first taken in 1790. So once you read the U.S. Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, along with treaties, then you start understanding how all these pieces come together, and we can understand how to disarm them of this weapon and use it against them, because I teach a whole principle called political self-defense. But we don't understand how these pieces come together.
Well, but you left out one thing. He did not just form ALEC. He also was a co-founder of the Heritage Foundation.
Heritage Foundation and the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society are submitting these unqualified, ultra-conservative federal judge nominees to Donald Trump. And just so people understand, in about September 9th, 2020, Trump released a list of 20 potential U.S. Supreme Court nominees, and Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron was one of those names on that list. Of course he is. You better don't get this twisted. They're fighting for raw, naked power and we control the courts for the next 30, 40 years while we're focused on the basketball court.
And that's why everybody keeps talking, Rob, about demanding that Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris answer about packing the courts. Well, the reality is this here. They did that in Arizona. They actually added seats to the Arizona State Supreme Court. They tried to strip power from the State Supreme Court in North Carolina when they took control of that particular court. And when the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court ruled against them in gerrymandering, what did they do? They also tried to strip their power. That's what we're dealing with. Rob, real quick before we go to a break.
Oh, I would just say Democrats need to learn a lesson from their opponents. So they need to be aggressive for the short term. I think they should look at packing the court. I think they should make D.C. a state. Be aggressive. Get rid of the filibuster. First of all, get rid of the filibuster. Be aggressive. Don't worry about what Republicans are going to do. We know what they're going to do. They're going to take power, learn from them, and actually represent the people that you say you represent. So when we win, we better use the power. That's all I have to say.
All right, folks, back to our Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. brutality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at seek.com using this promo code RMVIP2020, RMVIP2020. So we certainly thank the folks at seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered.